What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and today I want to talk to you about how you should think about it if your content is not getting a lot of engagement. So the reason I'm making this video is last night I went out for a couple drinks with a friend of mine, and he was in from out of town, and he's not a chiropractor, but he's really smart when it comes to digital marketing and marketing in general. And he makes some content himself. We were just kind of talking about he likes a decent amount of my posts, so I figure he sees a decent amount of my content. So we make content every day. We make videos. We've got a podcast. We do interviews. Ask Dr. Nick show. So we do a lot of different types of things, and I think we're creating more content than probably 99% of people that are promoting to chiropractors right now. And when I say we, I mean like me and Leverage Media, for my Dr. Nick brand, not for clients. So I was asking him, I was like, what do you think so far? Like, any feedback, blah, 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 because I've been doing it for about 90 days now. And he said, well, how's it been going? Like, I kind of wanted to ask you like what the results have been. And he says, because when I see the videos, there's just not very much engagement on it. And I said, yeah, I try not to look at that stuff too much because I don't want to, I want to just basically put my 2 cents out there and try to help out as much as I can, especially to my ideal clients. My ideal clients are people that probably at that, 400,000 in collections and above range. Those are the people that I try to create content for. And a lot of the content, I'd say 60% of the content is relevant to anybody at any stage, students, associates, getting started in practice, like all kinds of stuff. But I really try to keep in mind my avatar, which is somebody who's, reached a certain level of success in practice and may want some marketing help someday. So he was asking me, how it had been going. And I said, it does pretty well because people, when they see me in person, tend to recognize me more. Seems like they reach out more if they have questions or if I'm giving strategy sessions, just kind of randomly for people that I've never met before. And so I think that my content and I'm sorry, got a little off track, but I try not to look too much at the metrics, just because I want to stay focused on my message and adding value. And what I tell people when they're creating content is do it for 12 months. Don't look at any of the results. Don't look at any of the metrics. Just keep creating valuable content for your ideal client and keep putting money behind it. Keep pushing it out there. Make sure that people see it. So like if you're a local chiropractor, be sure that those local audiences are seeing the content that you're creating and you're making it for whoever you want to help. So I told him, I was like, I try to take my own advice and I don't look at the metrics really at all. I make sure that it's being delivered, but then I don't really track that closely, like what's the watch time or what percentage of the videos are being watched or how many clicks there are or how many likes or comments. And, everybody likes feedback. Everybody likes the likes and the comments and the shares. But sometimes a video will pop and then I kind of make note of that of like, oh, what do I think made that video different than the others? So the reason I'm making this for you is because a lot of you are creating content and you don't get a lot of feedback. We create content or we help our clients create content and we see the engagement numbers. I see it in my own practice. And the thing is like when you're creating content that is especially condition specific content, like if you show it to 1,000 people, maybe only 10 of those people are actively dealing with whatever problem you're talking about. So there are only going to be so many people that are interested in some 3 exercises to help with low back pain, first thing in the morning. There's only going to be so many people that are interested in that. If you don't have low back pain first thing in the morning, you're probably not going to watch the video, even if you have low back pain, but it comes on at night. So that video must not be for me. So you want the videos to be specific so that the people that are suffering from it actually watch it and hopefully take action on it. but it's going to be a pretty small percentage of your local audience, because you're not reaching out to a nationwide or a worldwide audience. So there's only so many people there that are suffering from that thing at that moment, right? And if they suffered from it 6 months ago and not anymore, they also are not going to care about this video from a local chiropractor about this very specific situation. So when you're looking at your marketing, it's like, yeah, I mean, you definitely like look at your metrics, see if there's any commonalities between the ones that do better than the ones that don't. But you can usually look at that in hindsight. You don't need to be doing that on like a daily basis or a weekly basis. You can probably like at the end of the month, look back on your content from the month, see like which ones did well, which ones didn't. Always be sure that you're engaging with any kinds of comments that are happening with your content. But don't get too worried if there's not a lot of engagement. What's important, especially at a local level, and for me, like, my ideal market is chiropractors. And so chiropractic is kind of like a small town, because there's about 70,000 of us in the United States. So the more that I can try to put valuable content in front of those 70,000 chiropractors, the better long-term it'll be for me, and like how the levels of trust that I have with my ideal audience. And even if you don't watch these videos, in your news feed, you just kind of like see my name, see my face. Maybe one of maybe you see 50 videos, maybe one of them is actually something that you care about. It's like it finally hit that nerve. Like I just had a lady that reached out to me today that I made a video on how I'm able to spend 3 days a month in my practice and live 3 hours away. And I kind of gave like the 3 tips that would that made the most difference there. And she had been like, she had opted in for my Gary Vee interview like in early January. So she'd been kind of like listening to content for a few weeks. And maybe that headline caught her attention. She's at that stage of life. And so that caused her or that stage of practice. So that caused her to reach out to me. Started a conversation. Hopefully she signed up for a strategy session. I haven't checked yet today, but hopefully she signed up for one, and we can talk more later. Maybe she becomes a client, right? That video has maybe only gotten a couple of likes, or I don't think anybody shared it. Maybe a comment or two, but not a lot of engagement. But if that woman ends up becoming a client, that video was worth making. And it's the same way with you. I'm just helping people, market their practices. You're actually helping change and save people's lives. You should go into that content with the intention of making a change in one person's life. And if you go in with that intention, you'll find that other people are attracted to the message and the messenger. But when you're worried about likes and comments and view time and all of that, I think you just get caught up in then starting to play for metrics versus trying to add value to who your ideal client really is. I had so we do our podcast is Path to a Million podcast, and it's Chiropractic's only daily podcast. And so I had wished a chiropractor that I know happy birthday on Facebook, and he had reached back out and said thanks. And he said, I've been really enjoying the podcast, and I'm through episode 75. So like this guy has listened to 75 episodes. Now, a lot of those are interviews that I've done. A lot of those are like me answering questions. A lot of those are just like videos like this. But that is, I've met him like maybe like 3 or 4 times like at events, and we just kind of know each other. But that amount of content consumption has probably led him to be a much feel much closer to me than he would had I not, right? And the other thing is like somebody, like allowing somebody to really go deep. So like, again, my ideal client is a chiropractor. Now, could a dentist get some value from my content? Sure. Like there's a lot of like crossover there. Could a real estate agent do it? Absolutely. But what I'm focused on is chiropractic and trying to help chiropractors grow their practice and learn from some of the best people in the country. So it doesn't matter that I get 1 like on this video, or no shares on that one, or nobody really comments, or nobody's like DMing me telling me how great the content is, right? what matters is like that guy, if there's that one guy that I'm friends with that tells me he's listened to 75 episodes, there's probably another dozen out there that have done that as well, right? And over time, that dozen will turn into 50, that 50 will turn into 100, but you have to be consistent with it. You know, I'm living right now what I tell my clients and potential clients of what they need to be prepared for, which is I'm in my first 90 days of doing daily content, and I can really feel it start to like gain some traction just because I travel around, I see people that are chiropractors a lot. I'm at like conferences and, mixing and mingling with other chiropractors. So it's easy for me to get that direct feedback at times. In your practice, you may not always get that because you're not with those people as often as maybe we are in the profession. So anyway, I'm 90 days in. I feel good about the people that have told me that they like the videos or they like the interviews or they listen to the podcast, whatever it might be. But I'm taking my own advice of I'm not really paying too much attention to what happens over these first 12 months. At the end of 12 months, I'll do kind of a look back on what we've done, how could we improve. Then in the next year, I might get a little bit more strategic about, okay, those don't seem like they're doing that well. This one maybe is a little bit better, or we could tweak it here. And we're doing that along the way, but I think at the end of the 12 months, that's when I'm gonna really look back. Like at the end of 2020 is when I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna say, these are the things that we need to do to increase our consumption, increase because a lot of the things that I'll have talked about through that first year will be a lot of the things that I know. So the next year is going to be all about maybe being more strategic, being more organized with it, being more thoughtful about what is it that my ideal people are really, really looking for, maybe more action steps, maybe more specifics instead of videos like this where I'm kind of like giving my thoughts. So that's what I recommend for you when you're creating content. In that first 12 months, just don't worry so much about how much people are interacting as long as you are actually pushing it out. Because what's most important at times is that people consistently see you in their feed. They can read the headlines. They can see the conditions that you help with or the copy above the text. But if you're just creating content and just posting it organically to your page, you're not gonna get any engagement, or you're not gonna get very much engagement, period. So you've got to make sure you're pushing that out to new people that maybe don't know who you are. So you're getting out in front of them and just try to add as much value to their lives as you can. So hopefully you guys are creating content. Be patient with it. Stay focused on your avatar. Stay focused on the person you're trying to help. And I know that you'll be able to help some people along the way. So we'll talk to you next time.